Alright, now we're going to get ready to install our ridge pole. For our ridge pole installation, we're going to be using a 3-hole pipe strap. It's got 1, 2, and then a 3rd hole in the actual hook that goes around the post. And we're going to mount this right up here in the peak of our roof. At this point, you're going to be working on a ladder, so make sure you have a stable base to work off of. If you need a second person on your ladder to help hold it in place, that's certainly a consideration. We've got a 21 foot long pole here. Chris is on the opposite end, and he's going to help hold it up in place as we attach these. As we put these up, we want to keep in mind that we don't want this sharp edge of the pipe sticking past the front of our peak here. And the reason being is we're going to have a piece of the greenhouse plastic that covers the end of this tunnel. And if this is protruding past the end of the hoop, it's going to damage our plastic over time. So what we'll do is we'll end up having this pipe strap mounted here, the ridge pole inserted, and then a 3rd hole we'll put a Tech screw in to hold this pipe in place. Alright, we're at a junction point for our ridge pole. So what we're going to do now is measure for our last piece of our ridge pole. When we're measuring, we don't want to measure from the end of the pipe. We want to measure from the end of the swage, and that's because the continuing ridge pole here will actually insert onto that piece. When we're measuring, we want to measure to the middle of our peak here. That way we don't have any ridge pole protruding out to where it's going to cut our plastic. So it looks like we're going to be just shy of 37 inches. So we'll mark and cut our next piece.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and measure our piece for the ridge pole. You saw Mark and I just a moment ago measuring that piece for the end of our ridge pole. We measured 36 3/4 inches. And we're going to make sure that we measure this piece from the end of the non-swaged end of the pole. So we're looking for the end that's going to fit onto the swaged end. So again, we're measuring 36 3/4 inches here, and I'm just going to make that mark. And then I'm going to use a hacksaw to cut our piece to finish off this ridge pole. Okay, so now we have our piece. It's open at both ends. We don't have a swage, and it's 36 3/4 inches long, and we're going to insert that onto the swage of the ridge pole, and this will be our end piece. Okay, so we have our end piece for our ridge pole, and I'm going to go ahead and install that, and I'm going to use the end that we cut just a moment ago to slide onto the swage of our existing ridge pole here. And if we got our cut right, it should be just in the center of our peak here. And it looks like we're good. So now we can go ahead and take one of our Tech screws, and we'll go ahead and put it through this juncture And now we've got a good sound joining of our ridge pull joint here.